What's up, Renegades? I am Lupine Fiasco. Welcome to more daily FaB gameplay. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. What we do here is watch games that I have played on talshar.net. I will commentate those games, walk through the decisions I would make now, give you a bit of my thought process, watch what I did playing this game originally, and compare the two lines to see if what we did in the past is better or worse than what we came up with today. Why are we doing this? Talshar games are not about winning or losing, they are about improving and perfecting our play. So if we are checking ourselves in the past, making sure that we improved since then, we can take that tighter gameplay and increased win percent into competitive paper events and win expensive cardboard. Today's game is against Prism, Awakener of Soul. Let's get into our sideboarding and the game plan. Against Prism, we are opting to go second. The reason for this is that Prisms, even Aura Prisms, will run Luminars in their sideboard to bring in against aggressive heroes like FaB. The Aura's plan cannot beat FaB. FaB clears Auras too easily while pushing damage through Spectral Shields, so a Luminaris Herald's aggressive plan is necessary against us. If we go second into this matchup, we can put our entire hand onto the table on blocks on turn 0 to prevent Prism from accelerating out Figments, prevent a little damage from us, and give us the first opportunity to attack Prism's hand directly, or her life total if she chooses not to block. Our equipment will stay the same in this matchup. We are using the Emberblade list that you are all familiar with by now. That list can be found in the video description below if you would like to try it out on Talshar for yourself. While you are looking at the video description, please like this video, leave a comment for me if you have any questions or feedback, and if you have not already done so, subscribe to the channel. Subscribing is the best way to support free FaB content, and make sure that you are the first to know about any new videos. New videos come 5 days a week, and I hope you all enjoy them. Cards from the 60. We take out Warmonger's Diplomacy and board in Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer is a popper, very important against Heralds. It is a stronger card than Warmonger's in this matchup, regardless of popping. Warmonger's Diplomacy is not very helpful in this matchup. Yes, it blocks 3. Yes, it pitches for 3. But Prism does not have too many non-attack actions. If she isn't attacking with a Herald, she is playing an instant. We do not get the disruption from Warmonger's Diplomacy that we need, so we board it out for something far more useful. Prism here going first, activating the Halo to put a Herald into Soul. She will get a Figment on turn 0. She can choose to activate her hero ability for free if she wants to. Coming in here for 7 with a Herald, we will give the entire hand on blocks. We do not want to let her get another Figment. She chooses not to activate the hero power to create an Angel. Looking at our hand here, we see all reds. A blue would have been nice with this hand, but we can work around it. Because we have 3 Phoenix Flames in these 60 cards, 1 currently in this card and 2 in our deck, we can play Rise from the Ashes to pick a Phoenix Flame up from our discard. We can then pitch it to Flamecall Awakening to find another Phoenix Flame. We will have satisfied the red card matters condition, Flamecall Awakening. Flamecall attacks for 6. Phoenix Flame attacks for 1 to maximize damage this turn and end with the draw effect from Snatch. We have 2 options for sequencing. We can play our Soul Beat Strike, or we can pitch it to Flamescale Furnace we'll generate 2 resources to attack with the Searing Emberblade, then follow up with Snatch. Prism has a Wave of Reality, a Spectral Shield, and a second Spectral Shield once the Wave of Reality breaks. I am not confident that Soulweed Strike would hit Prism to give us unconditional go again. Here I am inclined to pitch Soulweed Strike to the Flamescale Furnace to attack with Emberblade. See if that is the line I take in this game. Leading with Rise from the Ashes is a good first step. We are playing the Flamecall Awakening, pitching our Phoenix Flame. The ideal number of Phoenix Flames to have in your discard when there are 3 in your deck is 2. That lets us play a Rise from the Ashes to get a Phoenix Flame from our discard, then activate FaB later in the turn to get our second Phoenix Flame. That said, it is always better to have a Phoenix Flame in the deck than not. Here, pitching our Phoenix Flame to play out the Flamecall Awakening is a great line in that it keeps a Phoenix Flame in our deck available for tutoring with future Flame Calls, but also puts it at the bottom of the deck when we know we are not likely to draw it. It is the worst card in our deck when drawn, the best card in our deck when tutored. At this point, we have gotten the Wave of Reality from Prism, which leaves her with 2 Spectral Shields. We are attacking with our Emberblade. Emberblade here eating a Fate Foreseen. This is okay. We get a little extra value out of our Searing Emberblade, and we still get another card from Prism if she wants to block this Snatch. Overall, we deal no damage to Prism this turn, but we get the Wave of Reality from her. We see that she is not going to have much of a turn on her end of the table, and we can think about how we are going to proceed from here. Drawing a bit of a clunker, let's talk about what I'm doing here. When you have multiple blue cards in hand, it is always an option to activate FaB on your opponent's turn. You turn a blue in your hand into a Phoenix Flame. Phoenix Flame acts as your Draconic starter to give your Searing Emberblade go again. It gives Blaze Headlong go again. It turns on your Flamecall Awakening. It is an expensive way to make an unplayable hand playable. If we look at this hand without turning Stab Wound into a Phoenix Flame, what is our line? Attack with Ravenous Rabble, attack with Soulweed Strike and hope it hits, then pitch Stab Wound to attack with Emberblade and Arsenal Lava Vein Loyalty. Pitching the Stab Wound to find a Phoenix Flame lets us play Phoenix Flame for 0, Lava Vein Loyalty for 2 with the Shuko Unpreventable Damage Clause, pitch Soulweed Strike to attack with the Emberblade, and either attack with or Arsenal Ravenous Rabble. Needing to pitch a blue to FaB is never ideal. We would have loved to have a Draconic starter in this hand, but FaB on your opponent's turn as your Get Out of Jail Free card is better than anything we can put together with the set of hands that we drew. Why are we doing it on our opponent's turn? Because it's a good habit to get into. We only have 1 Phoenix Flame in our discard right now, so whether we activate FaB on our opponent's turn or on our turn looks the same. But if we had 2 Phoenix Flames in our discard, using FaB on our opponent's turn to pick up one of the Phoenix Flames lets us activate FaB on our turn to pick up the second Phoenix Flame. So while it isn't helpful in this particular situation now, it is a good habit to get into for when it does matter in the future. Activate FaB, we pick up our Phoenix Flame. Our sequencing here is pretty straightforward. I just described it. We're going to open with the Phoenix Flame for 0 with Go Again. We will follow that with Lava Vein Loyalty. Lava Vein Loyalty here getting the Shuko Unpreventable Damage text, which is very helpful. If Prism doesn't block this Lava Vein Loyalty, it will threaten 2 points of damage. Both of Prism's spectral shields will break to prevent that damage, but because the damage can't be prevented, the ward fails. The spectral shields destroy themselves. As you can see, they are no longer on the board, but Prism does take 2 points of damage. She could have blocked the Lava Vein Loyalty. It's possible she didn't know about the interaction, but it is to our advantage that she did not, and it is something that you can be aware of going into your games. We're arsenaling the Ravenous Rabble here rather than playing it. We don't have any reason to play it. We don't want to trigger our Mask of the Pouncing Lynx this turn. Pushing a vanilla 4 points of damage against Prism doesn't do anything to advance our game plan. FaB would rather have a 5-card hand than a 4-card hand, so we're going to arsenal the Ravenous Rabble and see if it makes our next turn stronger. We draw into a pretty decent set of cards. The Salt the Wound here acting more as pitch than as a finisher. Let's talk about whether we should block this War Tomb Herald with our Command and Conquer. As you can see, as a popper, triggering the Phantasm of War Tomb Herald would prevent us from taking any damage and would prevent a Herald from going into Prism's Soul. She would not be able to tutor out a Figment, but Prism is on Phantasmal Footsteps. Luminaris costs 2 to give a Herald Go Again, but if we pop a Herald, Phantasmal Footsteps only costs 1 to give Prism an action point. It is the same benefit to her either way, but if we pop the Herald, she only needs to spend 1 resource to get an action point rather than 2. So in a situation like this, where Prism has 5 cards, we can anticipate that she is going to play out 2 Heralds. We would rather pop the second Herald than the first. It's also just a good strategy that you attack with your most impactful card last to bait out any blocks, in this case to bait out any poppers. So if the Herald following up this War Tomb was a Herald of Protection, I would much rather pop that than pop the War Tomb. So we declare no blocks. Prism activating Luminaris, spending 2 resources instead of just the 1. We take 7 damage here. Prism gets to tutor out a Figment and has the ability to flip one of her Figments into an Angel. She does. Banishes a card from Soul, flips Figment of Protection into an Angel, and attacks with the Angel. Pitching a card, banishing a card from Soul to generate 2 Spectral Shields. So our plan doesn't quite work, right? The Angel can't be popped. So if we wanted to have a better turn, we would have blocked the War Tomb Herald with our Command and Conquer. We're punished for playing a bit greedy, for saving our popper rather than using it right away. But this is still fine. The 2 Spectral Shields are a problem, but taking 4 points of damage from this Angel is fine. This was not an ideal turn cycle for us, but we can work with it. Prism stranded with a card in hand and a card in arsenal. Let's think about how we're going to play out this turn. Like I said, Salt the Wound here looking like pitch rather than play. We can play 1 Ravenous Rabble, 2 Ravenous Rabbles, pitch our Salt the Wound to play Flame Call Awakening. We will have satisfied the red card matters condition for the tutor effect. Pick up a Phoenix Flame out of our deck. We know there are 2 in there. So our hand at this point will be Command and Conquer, Phoenix Flame, and one resource floating. We have two options. We can play our Phoenix Flame, then activate FaB using our floating resource to pick up our second Phoenix Flame and attack with that. It will have the Shuko effect, so Prism will need to block it or else lose her Spectral Shields and her Angel. Depending on whether these Rabbles come in for 2, 3, or 4, she may block before then. The first thing we're going to do is attack with a Rabble and see what happens. And there is a reason for this that I will get into in just a second. Let's see what happens when we play our first Rabble. Rabble goes at Prism, not at the Angel. Here, Ravenous Rabble reveals a yellow. The Art of War is good. We do have a few lines of play available to us based on this information. I would like to push maximum damage this turn, which means playing out the hand. We could look to arsenal our Flamecall Awakening, knowing that we're going to draw an Art of War and look for a big 5-card Art of War hand that seeks to play a Draconic Starter, then a Flamecall Awakening, then banish the tutored Phoenix Flame to the Art of War. But I don't want to do any of that. I want to push damage this turn, chew through Prism's Spectral Shields and Angel, and get some damage. So, with that being said, Ravenous Rabble has revealed a yellow. It is attacking for 3. We want to shuffle the deck and try to get a red on top for our next Ravenous Rabble. So, instead of playing our second Rabble, based on what happens with this attack, if Prism blocks it or not, we are going to follow up with our Flamecall Awakening. Here, Prism uses Sink Below to block the Rabble. That's fine. We get our value where we can take it. Following up with the Flamecall Awakening to tutor our Phoenix Flame. We will follow this Flamecall Awakening with our Ravenous Rabble, trying to hit a red off the top of the deck, still attacking Prism, not the Angel. If we're attacking for 4 with no on-hit, there's no reason to attack the Angel instead of Prism. Now, if we had a Snatch, we could attack the Angel. Then we would get the hit effect from Snatch. But Ravenous Rabble, even if it comes for 4, we would rather just attack Prism and give them the opportunity to blow up their Angel. Rabble coming in for 2, just bad. There's no redeeming quality to this Rabble coming in for 2. We would have loved it to be 4. But we will see how the Prism deals with it, declaring no blocks. We get the 2 Spectral Shields. So, what do we want to do with this hand? We have our 2 lines available. We either Phoenix Flame, or Command and Conquer, pitching this Phoenix Flame. I believe the best play here is to attack with our 2 Phoenix Flames. And the reason for this is really both Phoenix Flames are threatening this Angel. Because if this Phoenix Flame for 1 goes unblocked, the Angel dies. And if Prism wants to protect the Angel, she needs to block the Phoenix Flame, which is either going to be a card from Arsenal or a card from hand. She could pitch a card from hand to the Footsteps to block 1, which is fine, it would prevent the damage, but we're still getting a card from her. And now the second Phoenix Flame also gets a card from her or deals 2 damage and gets the Angel because of our Shuko damage prevention clause. At the end of this turn, we get to arsenal a Command and Conquer. If we play the Command and Conquer, yes, we get cards from Prism on blocks. She can either block 6 from hand to prevent the Command and Conquer damage. She can block 3 from hand and lose her Angel, or she doesn't block at all. She prevents 4 damage from the Command and Conquer and loses her Arsenal, We get 2 cards from her either way, but Phoenix Flame gives us a card in Arsenal, which is better than not having a card in Arsenal. But here, I decide to pitch the Phoenix Flame, play the Command and Conquer, and see how Prism wants to address 6 damage and the loss of her Angel and Arsenal. Prism saying no blocks, we get the Angel, we get an Angelic Wrath from Arsenal, and push 2 points of damage. It works out. That was still a good turn from us, but I think it could have been better. And here with our 2 blues in hand, we see that we would have been able to do something a little more impactful than just turn a blue into a Phoenix Flame. We'll take 4 from the Angel, Prism giving her 2 cards from hand to deal 4 damage is totally fine. We are going to activate FaB to pick up a Phoenix Flame. This, I believe, is the best call. There is a line where we attack with our E-Strike, bottom one of our blues, draw a card, and give the E-Strike go against Snapdragon Scalers. But I don't want to have to do that. I don't want that to be plan A. So we turn a blue into a Phoenix Flame. We now have a few lines available to us. We can Phoenix Flame, pitch blue for Emberblade, attack with Salt the Wound. Salt gets the Shuko bonus. So we are looking at a potential 3 points of damage. Notably, the Emberblade does not need to be blocked in this line. The Angel will sacrifice itself to prevent the Emberblade damage. There is no hit for Salt the Wound. Salt will only come in for 3 if we Phoenix Flame Emberblade Salt. We can Phoenix Flame Emberblade E-Strike 5, draw a card, and put that in the arsenal. We can Phoenix Flame Emberblade E-Strike 7. We can Phoenix Flame Lava Vein Loyalty for 2 unpreventable. Forces a potential bad block from Prism. Follow that with an Emberblade and arsenal the E-Strike. I believe the best line here is 0 to 3 arsenal E-Strike. Prism has to protect her Angel twice. We get an E-Strike in Arsenal, which is a pretty good pickup. And we are triggering our Shuko. We start with the Phoenix Flame. Going at Prism, this doesn't matter. The Phoenix Flame has 0 power. How do we follow this up? We attack with the Emberblade. Thinking about it, I believe this is the correct play. Here, Emberblade 3, Salt the Wound 3 is slightly more damage than Lava Vein Loyalty Emberblade. And we still get our Shuko trigger. Choosing instead to E-Strike, draw a card. This is a little riskier. There's a chance that we draw something that does not go great into our arsenal, but instead drawing another E-Strike, totally fine with me. We present a little more damage this way. Prism choosing not to block it. What we draw is a pretty good hand of cards. Prism coming with Red Herald of Protection. Let's talk about this. If this Herald hits, Prism gets a Figment, a Spectral Shield, and we take 7 points of damage. If this hit, Prism gets a Spectral Shield, a Figment, possibly an Angel, and we take 7 points of damage. If this Herald doesn't hit, none of that happens, we keep a pretty good hand. So if we want to block this Herald, we are going to use our Flamescale Furnace, we will use this Soul Bead Strike, and we use a card from hand or our Shuko. Without this Soul Beat Strike, our hand is Blue Brand, Ronin Renegade, Blaze Headlong, and an E-Strike. If we give up our Blaze Headlong, this hand is 3-3-1. Don't play our E-Strike. If we block with our Brand, this hand is Ronin Renegade, Blaze Headlong, pass. That's 7 more damage. We keep our arsenal. If we block with Ronin Renegade, this hand is E-Strike for 5, go again, Blaze Headlong, pass. 9 points of damage, no arsenal. If we block with Shuko, this hand is 3-4-3-1, possibly 5 at the end of that with our Mask of Pouncing Lynx. We could turn that into a Salt Wound or a Lava Burst. We're pushing 11 points of damage and keep our arsenal. So this Tiger Stripe Shuko on blocks generates 6 points of value. 2 from blocking the Herald of Protection, and 4 for giving us an 11-point turn rather than a 7-point turn. It generates additional value if you consider that Herald of Protection is not generating a Figment, an Angel, or a Spectral Shield. So with all of this being said, I like blocking with Furnace, Shuko, and Soul Bead Strike, keeping our 4 cards. We also have the option to E-Strike, draw a card, or E-Strike, go again if we want to push a little more damage this turn. I make the same decision to block 7 with Equipment. Prism giving the Herald go again with Luminaris. What does she follow this up with? She has the 2 floating for another Herald. Instead, playing Pierce Reality. Pierce Reality, something I wouldn't mind breaking. The effect is not particularly relevant, but Spectra is just so easy to break with FaB. We can still play 3-4-3 and send our Phoenix Flame at the Spectra at the end of our turn. We keep our E-Strike. I still like this. I like threatening 10 points of damage on Prism's life total and destroying the Spectra. But depending on how she chooses to block, we can decide whether we want to break our Pouncing Lynx. Going for a totally different play here, and one that I don't really like. E-Strike 5, Blaze Headlong 4, Ronin Renegade 3 is 12 points of damage at Prism's life total, but now we don't get our Phoenix Flame, so we don't get an easy hit on the Spectra. If we wanted our Phoenix Flame, we could pitch our Art of War to attack the Searing Emberblade. That gives us our 3rd Draconic Link, and we get to activate FaB to pick up our Phoenix Flame. But then we don't have an Art of War, and I really want an Art of War in my arsenal. So I think this is not a good decision. We're losing our Snapdragon Scalers to make this happen. Yes, we're pushing a lot of damage. We get 2 cards from Prism's hand to block the E-Strike, but okay. Following this with Blaze Headlong. At this point, we're committed to the line. So the question is, do we pitch Art of War to Emberblade? I don't think so. If Prism is going to throw a Herald at us with her 2 cards, that's fine. She's at 13, we'll take 9 after the Pierce Reality, but then we get a 5-card Art of War with our Pouncing Lynx up. Here I'm choosing to break it for either Lava Burst or Salt Wound. We're committed now to... Okay. This was messy. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Yes, Prism takes 2 points of damage. She gets 1 card, so she's either going to arsenal something or play out this energy potion. We draw into another Art of War. I think that entire turn cycle was a mistake. We should have pushed our 10 points of damage, broken this Pierce Reality, and keep our E-Strike and Arsenal with our Pouncing Links and our Snapdragon Scalers. Playing an Art of War, banishing a blue, we now have the option to play a second Art of War, which is an option I like taking. I'm looking for a Draconic starter here. As it is, we can play our E-Strike, bottom our Stab Wound, and give Go Again. That's 6 with Go Again. We follow that with Blaze Headlong, 5 with Go Again. We can use our 2 floating resources to attack with the Ember Blade, and finally Arsenal and Art of War. That is 14 damage. It gets 2 cards from Prism's hand on blocks. But I like playing second Art of War here. We play our second Art of War, we banish our Stab Wound. We still have the option to E-Strike and Go Again, turning on our Blaze Headlong, or we draw a Draconic starter and really just go off. We do play the second Art of War, take the same 2 modes, banishing our Stab Wound, and we draw into Brand with Cinderclaw. Just a really, really strong hand. Double Art of War. I would be surprised if we don't win the game this turn. Prism giving 2 cards to block Brand. We will play out the Blaze Headlong. We have a few options for how to finish up this turn based on how much of this 6 damage Prism takes. Playing a Fate Foreseen, she takes 2, goes down to 9. So the most damage she could block with this 1 card is 4, if it is another defense reaction, which means that we need to threaten 15 points of damage with these 2 cards to lock this game up. There is a way to do that with our double Art of War, still giving our attacks +2. We have 2 Draconic Links on the chain. Let's activate FaB, pick up our Phoenix Flame, E-Strike for 7, Go Again, bottoming our Phoenix Flame. I've always said, don't bottom, banish, or pitch your Phoenix Flame unless you can win the game on the spot. Here, between E-Strike, Go Again, and Lava Burst, we are threatening 14 points of damage. We put Prism on needing to have exactly Sink Below or Fate Foreseen to not be dead. Anything else, any 3-block, any non-block, kills her. So let's do that. Bottom our Phoenix Flame, play our Lava Burst. Even if Prism survives the turn, she is in rough shape. And she packs it in. A much better Prism game, in my opinion, than the last one I put up on the channel, and yet with a much more hopeless result for our Prism. We win the game at 24 life with 1 point of armor remaining. This just went so well for us. And this is how we beat Prism. Strategic blocking on important heralds, herald protection, possibly herald ravages, depending on your life total. Keeping track of which figments Prism could still have available, the important ones being protection, ravages, possibly erudition. But Prism is not going to be able to block super well while also keeping pressure. If she is blocking with 2 3-blocks and sending a herald on her turn, that's 7 points of damage. Plus 4 with the angel. We can present more damage than that. Our Shuko is going to pressure through angels and spectral shields. Our Phoenix Flame is going to force weird blocks when Prism wants to protect an angel. We can just go too wide for Prism to be able to play the mid-range game, so we put her on needing to be aggressive and some of her hands are just going to be clunkers. We saw her with a soul food, with an energy potion, with a pierce reality that did not contribute to her reducing our life total to 0, and we see it in the result of this game. Prism is probably going to be draw my levels of free until a really good list emerges, but even then, we can just beat her down with our consistency, with our efficiency, and hopefully you will be doing it better than I did in this game. I think there were quite a few mistakes, so I'm glad we were all able to learn from them. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you enjoy these videos. I will be back tomorrow with another one. Until then, have a great day.